Hong Kong is one of the most unequal cities in the world.
On one hand, the city is home to extravagant wealth, with Hong Kong being home to 1 million millionaires, while boasting the highest per capita rate of Rolls-Royce ownership, along with a seemingly endless array of bespoke luxury boutiques at every turn.
Yet, on the other hand, 15.8% of the city's population live in poverty. That's 1.2 million people living hand-to-mouth in squalid, subdivided flats, barely scraping together enough money to afford food and shelter in the world's costliest city to live in. However, in order to better understand the issue, we must understand why this inequality exists in Hong Kong.
According to our research, income inequality in Hong Kong is primarily due to a lack of affordable housing caused by the absurdly high land prices in Hong Kong. Only a quarter of Hong Kong's land is developed, with the rest consisting of either protected lands or rugged terrain. This means that the vast majority of Hong Kong's population of 7 million plus is crammed into high-density housing on the little land available in the crevices between the territory's mountains and waterways. This, coupled with Hong Kong's pride status as a hub for trade and commerce between East and West, has led to land in Hong Kong becoming extremely expensive. Just 1 square foot in Hong Kong costs up to 16,000 Hong Kong dollars. That's almost 4 times greater than what a square foot would cost in New York City. These soaring real estate prices have rendered housing in Hong Kong scarcely affordable for low-income residents, who have to pay an average monthly rent of 12,000 to 15,000 Hong Kong dollars for a mere 1-bedroom apartment. This price tag becomes even more outrageous considering the median monthly individual income for Hong Kong residents is, as per the latest statistics, 18,400 Hong Kong dollars. As a result of the unaffordability of housing in Hong Kong, housing arrangements in the form of subdivided flats, that being apartment flats which are divided into multiple subflats which all accommodate 1 family each, or even cage homes, have become prevalent in the city, with up to 100,000 people forced to live in these inhumane conditions. Evidently, soaring housing costs have greatly exacerbated the issue of income inequality, as low-income residents have been made to surrender large portions of their income to their squalid dwellings, while the rich lounge idly in their white mansions perched high atop Victoria Peak. However, the effects of high housing costs are more far-reaching and are intrinsically related to other causes of income inequality. According to the Hong Kong Education Bureau, or EDB for short, a major factor which contributes to income inequality is unequal access to education and healthcare. This can be directly attributed to high housing costs, as these costs drain the low-income residents' pockets to the point where disposable income becomes a luxury, therefore impeding their ability to afford high-quality educational or medical services for themselves or their loved ones. This, in turn, worsens the cycle of poverty, as lack of access to high-quality education means inability to obtain employment in high-income white-collar occupations, while lack of access to high-quality healthcare means hampered ability to work. This is not helped by recent trends of decline in the secondary sector of Hong Kong, the primary source of low-skilled, blue-collar employment in the city, as well as the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, which has undoubtedly increased demand for healthcare services. All the aforementioned factors ultimately culminate in relegating low-income people to poverty by inherently placing them in disadvantaged positions and denying them the chance to obtain higher incomes.
But what is the situation like on the ground? What do the people actually experiencing this crisis of income inequality have to say about the matter? To this end, we interviewed 3 people from different levels in the social hierarchy to learn more about their perspectives on income inequality and their cultural perspectives they have associated with their class divisions.
Alright, so what is your household income range?
Alright, my household income range is around 100,000 per month.
What is the typical income range of domestic workers in Hong Kong?
4,300, I think.
Do you see many signs of income inequality within your local community?
Certainly, I do, because within Hong Kong, there exists a great difference between the top-ranking citizens of and the incredibly poor, and the difference between the hierarchy is just huge, and as is the income gap.
Do you feel that your opportunities are limited due to your wealth? Do you feel that more wealthy people have better opportunities?
Oh yes, of course, in so many ways. Better house, better food, better education, and more choices in life.
How do people view others in relation to your income in Hong Kong?
Fine, it's just compared to the other countries, better.
What do you feel is the primary reason for poverty, perhaps in Hong Kong again?
No job, low education cannot get a better job.
If the government could enact one policy to alleviate poverty, what would it be?
More housing for the poverty people, I mean.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, right, how privileged do you feel you are? So 1 would be underprivileged and 10 would be, very privileged.
Right. In my opinion, I feel very privileged. I would say around a 7 or 8, as my family acquires decent I'd say wealth when compared to other not so privileged citizens or underprivileged citizens, and being able to study in this school. Definitely it cost my family quite a lot of money, and yeah, that's just basically what I have to say.
There are several possible solutions to the issue of income inequality. The first is social welfare, a concept referenced in the interviews. Social welfare refers to government assistance which is typically provided to those who are disadvantaged, including those who lack financially. In Hong Kong, social welfare is provided by the government, but only to those who are of old age and who are disabled. This, of course, denies the hundreds of thousands of low-income Hong Kongers whose financial difficulties stem from factors other than old age and disabilities, such as those who did not receive sufficient education due to financial constraints from receiving much-needed social welfare benefits. Moreover, social welfare in of itself has also proven to be an ineffective solution to income inequality, as social welfare benefits are often wasted as disposable income or spent on necessities such as food and shelter, as opposed to long-term investments such as tuition fees. As a result, social welfare in Hong Kong has become an unorganized mess where government money is being thrown around aimlessly and to no avail. A more practical solution, which involves more than simply pumping money into the working class, would be increased funding for education. As mentioned previously, a lack of access to high-quality educational services directly correlates to inability to find high-income white-collar employment. Thus, increasing government funding for education would serve to alleviate poverty in the long term by tackling one of its root causes. Another practical solution would be an increase in the minimum wage. However, increasing the minimum wage comes at the risk of rendering labor unaffordable for small businesses, and as a result, cutting employment opportunities in the long term. Furthermore, increased taxation may also be a viable solution to income inequality. Currently, Hong Kong is considered a tax haven as it boasts a 0% tax rate for value-added tax, sales tax, and capital gains tax, as well as a low personal income rate and corporate tax rates. Increasing tax rates in all areas of taxation would provide more government revenue for the funding of programs and policies which would serve to alleviate poverty and ease the level of income inequality in Hong Kong. However, on the long term, Hong Kong as a whole would likely suffer from increased taxation, as this would decrease the territory's international competitiveness as a tax haven and destination for offshore capital, drive away many valuable high-income white-collar workers, especially if steeper tax rates are levied on the rich, and threaten Hong Kong's status as a global hub for trade and commerce.
Hong Kong is unequal, ludicrous amounts of money just for a roof on top of a head. Soaring prices due to Hong Kong's status as a hub for trade and commerce, combined with unequal access to education and healthcare, negatively reinforces Hong Kong's reputation as the most expensive city in the world to live in. Yet, not all hope is lost. Government assistance to the disadvantaged, increasing funding for education, and the minimum wage could alleviate income inequality. As it stands, however, there needs to be an immediate change in action in order for the underprivileged to be able to do more than live a hand-to-mouth lifestyle, so that they can continue and strive towards success in society.